and welcome to another episode of GadgetCast. I am Gregory McFadden, joined by my lovely co-hosts Travis MCP.
I feel like I should be wearing like a blouse or something. The way you said that, is that bad? Like my lovely co-host.
What's wrong with that? You're a
There's
lovely
literally
person.
nothing wrong with it. I'm just asking a question because I'm not wearing a blouse.
Well, no blouse was required. I just said you were a lovely person. You have a great personality. You're very kind. That's all I meant by it, Travis. You didn't have to look any certain sort of way. You just have a beautiful soul, and I want all of our listeners to know that.
Oh, I thank you. You trying to get on the Christmas list? What's going on?
Ooh, Christmas. That's coming up pretty soon. The year is flying by so quick, Travis.
Oh my
It's
God,
already
I'm depressed. I'm depressed by that, by the way. Too quick.
Why does that make you depressed?
Well, so here's the thing. First of all, year's almost over, which is crazy. I love this time of year, Christmas time of year, and Thanksgiving is one of my favorite because I love to eat. Having said that, my birthday's at the end of the year, which just means you get older, which is not a great thing. But hopefully, with all the momentum we've been getting from these podcasts, by the way, shout out to the people that are listening to the Gadget Cast podcast. Y'all coming in big, and I am enjoying every minute of it. How about you, Greg? We're superstars, baby. We've only been at this a couple of weeks.
It's going very well. I'm very pleased with the amount of listens we're getting. I'm very pleased that people are rating us on iTunes. We still have our 5-star rating, which I'm so proud of. People love it, leaving a lot of great feedback there. Again, if you are on Apple iTunes, we would love it. If you're listening to the show right now, go scroll down. You'll scroll down on that podcast and see a section of stars. You hit the 5 stars. Don't hit any of the other stars. You can even leave a comment like, best show ever, better than MKBHD's podcast, better than Joe Rogan's podcast. If you leave that in the comments, you leave your name down there, I'll probably shout you out in a future podcast episode because I think that'd be cool.
That's a great idea. And by the way, I did get a couple tweets this past week from and I love this because that means people were listening, where they said worth getting fired for. And for any of you that maybe missed last week's episode, we talked about people listening to the podcast during work and getting fired for it, and that this podcast was worth it. So shout out to those who tweeted that it's worth getting fired for. I appreciate you greatly.
I think that was Jason who tweeted that out, and I think
I
give him a shout out.
I feel like I got another one too, but I don't know.
Okay.
I think I did. I mean, of course, I live in my own dream world.
Got the one. Travis is getting multiple shout outs. Why aren't people shouting me at me? It's at Gregory McFadden. I know Travis is easier, at Travis MCP.
Yeah. And that's why.
You know what? Show me some Twitter love. Show me some Twitter love. I need Twitter love. Travis got all the followers, all the interaction. No one interacts with me. I need love. Now I'm depressed.
Well, you know what? We literally have the best podcast that's ever been. So let's give them some of that great podcast content that we are so incredibly amazing for.
That's right. Believe it or not, this is a tech show where we usually talk about technology. Now, we had a surprise release at the beginning.
Oh, yes.
Was it the beginning of this
Crazy.
Yeah.
Was it already? That was quick, right?
Yeah, that was quick. I just put my review up. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. AirPods Pro are out. Surprise announcement on Monday. They were quick to come into the hands of people on Tuesday and Wednesday. You didn't get a pair, right?
I didn't, but interestingly, this morning, I actually recommended a pair to someone, which it may come to as a surprise to some people, especially people who watch some of my videos. Because the person I was talking to had asked me, they knew I had a YouTube channel. They're like, well, so what do you think about AirPods? I said, well, the AirPod Pros. I said, well, what do you have them? He goes, I love my AirPods. I said, well, then you're going to love these because if nothing else, A, your expectations are at a certain level, which these are going to probably surpass those. B, you already understand the convenience. And he goes, yeah, I'm in the ecosystem. Dude, I have a Mac, I have a watch. I was like, oh, then you're going to be fine. You're going to love it. So I feel good about giving him that recommendation because I feel like he's going to be over the moon in love with them. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you have an iPhone, the integration's right there. It works the same as regular AirPods. Now, I have a pair of AirPods Pro, so I can speak more to the actual features and the benefits of going with AirPods Pro over regular AirPods. And I think, how do I want to say this? So AirPods Pro, $250. which is a pretty significant increase from regular AirPods, which are $159. But then you have that one in the middle where it comes with the wireless charging case for like $200. So now I put out my review. It's a glowing review. I really like AirPods Pro. Like I think I'd recommend them to like even Android users, depending on what you're looking for. Because my number one feature with AirPods Pro is that this is an in-ear design, meaning there's like a tip on the end of it, goes farther into your ear. And that kind of just gives you natural noise isolation. And because it's farther into your ear, by consequence, you're also getting better sound out of those earbuds. Traditionally, those types of in-ear buds, they kind of hurt my ears like after a while. Like if I have them in for like more than an hour, my ears get like really fatigued and like I get like sore. I actually got the Power Beats Pro, which funny enough, that's owned by Apple. And those have pretty good sound, but they suffer from that too. I was using them for working out, but they go in your ear, and like if you're using them for like an hour, they start to hurt after a while. Now, what Apple did that's different with AirPods Pro is, so on like a normal earbud, you would have a plastic bit that you wrap the silicone or whatever the foam tips around, and then you would insert that into your ear. There is no plastic part with the AirPods Pro that actually goes into your ear. It clicks on, like picture a normal pair of AirPods, and then just like picture like a mechanism where that tip can like click on. So no hard plastic bit is actually going into your ear.
Okay.
And it works extremely well. Another thing they did was they added a vent on the outside to equalize air pressure, because you put something in your ear, you're adding pressure into your ears. If you do this with a lot of other earbuds, you put them in your ear and then you start talking, you'll hear your voice like really loud and stuff like that. That's another thing they did with AirPods Pro to add to the comfort of the overall device. So just by using these are like the most comfortable in-ear earbuds that I've used, which makes me like recommend them to other people, even if you have Android, if you've ever experienced any sort of these discomforts before. I know Viper, he had the same thing. He was saying the same things, like these are super comfortable. And that's like a really, really important thing when you're wearing these all day long. On top of that, they also have better sound. They have noise cancellation. They have a transparency mode, which some other noise cancellation headphones have. And the way you enable that is with like this new squeeze gesture. So you like kind of grab the tip of the AirPod and you squeeze it a little bit. Now, what's very interesting is there's no moving parts and there's no like click to it, but they play a sound in your ear that sounds like a click, and it's so low latency that the minute you squeeze the pods, you're getting the click in your ear. So your brain is tricked into thinking you're actually pressing a button on the stem of the AirPods.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
Impressive.
I've heard of this. And one of the things, again, newly on the Apple train, so to speak, as I've been on my actually my 1 week video has been shot and edited. Originally was going to upload it by the time people hear this podcast, and probably won't be the case now. I'll probably wait a little bit longer. But I will say one thing that Apple gets right, seems like consistently, and that is the user experience is really good. They don't get all the high-end tech specs on things, and then sometimes they leave out stuff that seems questionable, but the user experience seems to be pretty routinely good. Like they're testing minus their operating system testing lately, which seems to have fallen by the wayside. Generally speaking, their usability testing seems to be really good, but like the OS stuff lately has been trash. Like the other day, I could not turn my iPhone back on. The only way I got it to turn back on was powering it. Like at 13.2. Did you have any? Are you having weird problems with 13.2? iOS 13.2?
I am having like 13.2 issues. Like it's weird because when 13 was first released, it was really buggy. Then they went with like 13.1, 13.1.2, 0.3, and like they started like slowly getting rid of bugs. But with this 13.2, there's a lot of like performance issues, and I'm seeing that all over Twitter. Like people are like, "What happened?" Like if I could go back a version, I would.
Yeah,
it's definitely not a good experience. I hope there's like a patch in the works soon.
It's a disconnect from Apple's like kind of overall user experience, all of a sudden you're seeing bugs and stuff in releases. It's like, did someone leave the company recently? Did someone change a rule somewhere in the corporate movement of the QA team? Did something change? Because distinctly it feels that way. It feels like the quality of a lot of things of Apple has not changed in a bad way. However, the software, iOS specifically, lately has fallen off, and I'm unsure. Now, again, I wasn't hardcore watching it before my iPhone. I did have an iPad. I do have an iPad that I use regularly to edit my videos. But man, it's kind of crazy, and it's the one thing that's leaving a bit of a black mark in the an otherwise pretty stellar 2019 for Apple.
Yeah. I wonder if they rushed this piece of software out because this software is needed to support the new AirPods Pro. So wrapping back to that. So maybe they
Deep Fusion
had to rush it out. They're like, we have this product coming out. We need to get it out. It has bugs. It has performance issues, which always like you never really want to do because now all your users are having like really bad experiences. I know like RAM management in particular, like you go to open an app and then you go back to it and it's closed. That's like a horrible experience. Now, I will say this, you started like using like an iPhone a lot last year, right? With iOS 12.
a little bit, yeah. I mean, I had the 10R for review. I used it for the time that I was reviewing that phone. I didn't mess with it too much after that. Okay. I missed a lot of the revisions.
So iOS 12 was actually like one of like the smoothest like releases in terms of like new software, and that was on purpose. By design, they wanted to go the route of fixing bugs and optimizing performance with iOS 12. So it's not unreasonable to, okay, maybe we're not used to all these new features and those are introducing bugs. There have been like buggy releases before, but 13.2 seems like on a whole other level. Like before, like the week before that came out, I was not having these issues, like the occasional bug, but nothing that was like really ruining my experience. You know, maybe I'll like relaunch an app or something like that. Now it's actually like I'm scrolling, it's like getting slower, the performance. I go to switch to another app, it crashes. It's like, like, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, if I like I said, it's very strange. Something weird's going over there at Apple. The AirPods though is kind of saving grace right now. Universally seem to be getting pretty good reviews. Be looking forward to your probably yours will be out by the time. Oh yeah, yours will be out by the time people listen to this. Obviously, it just came out. Yeah, so it's out. Yeah, it's out. So make sure you go watch that immediately.
Go watch it.
I don't know if I'm going to get one. I kind of was on the no train for a while. I don't really like earbuds in general, but a lot of the things that I've read and listened to lately have my interest peaked. So we'll see. Anything's possible. Yeah, so we'll see.
I think you should give them a shot.
I mean, listen, if I'm going with the Apple Watch route, which it looks like I'm going to, I should just go all in and just be the total rich dude. It's the Apple rich guy.
An Apple Watch. I've said it before. It's a match made in heaven. That's like,
I mean, the amount of comments on my YouTube channel will be terrible. They're gonna they already came after me on the one video when I switched. I'm like, look, it's my phone. It's a phone, and I can legitimately go back to an Android phone anytime I want. Totally not a big deal. But people are really hurt. I had a dude actually said that he was hurt in the comments. I'm like, no, you're not. Shut up. You are not hurt. No one has hurt you. You watching a YouTube video. I told you that I'm going to try an iPhone for a while. You are not hurt. The only thing that was hurt was my bank account, and that did hurt. But other than that, you were not hurt, man. Settle down. This is the internet.
That guy was having a really bad day. He comes home, turns on his favorite YouTuber, Travis. He's like, I can't wait to get into this video. He's out here using an iPhone. He's got his Android. And he's just like, oh my gosh.
Terrible.
Like, how can I live now?
I know it didn't ruin your day, bro. Listen, let's be honest. Did not ruin your day. You saying it will, and it did, but it didn't. Come on. You forgot all about it minutes later. Just like I did that comment after I deleted it. Just saying. Just saying. No,
you clearly didn't forget about it. You're still thinking about it.
I'm bringing it up now because it's funny in the moment. But yes, no. Yeah, it's not that serious, people. But anyway, listen. Loving the opportunity that Apple is taking here by possibly, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when the rest of the tech tubers give their phone of the year. Very possibly stealing phone of the year for the first time like ever. For generally speaking, it's been like an Android phone, usually the Note series, But there's some real like thoughts that the iPhone could win phone of the year. Now, for me, I would really have to think about it. It's really come in strong for me lately. Everything about it is really smooth and nice. I mean, nothing's perfect, right? Especially with the software. So that would definitely be a hindrance. And there's been a lot of really powerful and strong Android budget phones this year. I forget about the flagships from Samsung and stuff like. Forget about that. There are some amazing phones in the $500 and $600 range. So from that standpoint, if you want to go dollar for dollar, I would say Android wins left, right, and center. However, at the iPhone 11 level, forget about the Pro and Pro Max. At the iPhone 11 level and price, that could be phone of the year. And I think, and I'm not, again, Pro and Pro Max being a little bit better, but the reality is if you go like performance, price, ecosystem, like everything, the 11 definitely has a say. Whether it wins or not, we'll see, but definitely has a say.
Yeah, I mean, I thought both the Pro version and the regular 11 for the price, they were stellar this year in terms of all their capabilities, performance. The hardware in particular was just good, but maybe if Apple doesn't fix the software soon, it's gonna really like ruin the phone in people's minds, and it's not even gonna get like a nomination at this point.
No kidding.
It could happen, you know. Marquez might you start using the phone and go, oh my god, 13.2, what's going on? They need 13.3 as soon as possible. 13.2 just came out. I'm sure they've been updating the software like really quickly this year.
Pretty quickly. Yeah, pretty quickly.
I'm almost
which again,
that it'll be fixed.
Which is kind of weird though, if you think about it. Like how quickly.
If you pay attention to the rumors and the behind the scenes stuff, it seems like it was internally like a very rocky launch, and they did not have a lot of the things ready. Like one of the things they pulled for, we're talking about software so much, but one of the things they pulled for 13.0, the original 13 was like this feature that would like announce messages from Siri would read them to you into your AirPods. That was pulled, but that's here in 13.2. So obviously they had issues with that feature, but now it's back. So
interesting.
Again, AirPods Pro had to come out. They probably wanted all these new features. Maybe it wasn't 100% optimized, and you know, you run into all sorts of features like that. So it's another thing with the HomePod. The software on that, you would think it would launch with, you know, Apple likes to do all their software kind of the same. tvOS 13, iPad, now iPad OS 13, iOS 13, and then they have like the HomePod OS, which is also 13. That just launched like last week as well, and it was on 12.4, iOS 12 or whatever, like for like a good month.
Wow.
So and that also has some new iPhone features where you can like just hold the iPhone next to the HomePod and it will transfer the music over. Again, that ecosystem play, it's nice, but yeah, they definitely need to do something on the software side. And I wonder, maybe iOS 14, they're gonna have to like buckle down and go, okay, we got to fix all these bugs and problems we introduce. But who knows?
You know, and I don't know that I'm not suggesting that Samsung, LG, Google do this, although I guess I kind of am by saying it. Be interesting if they went ahead and you know, kind of made fun of this in some advertisement. Obviously you have to be kind of nimble. I don't think you can do it on television. That takes too long, but you can do a bunch of internet stuff where it's like, you know, waiting. And listen, they've done this. Pixel did it. What was it last year with the pictures, right? Between the X and the 3, the Pixel 3 and the iPhone 10. I think they've done it with battery life or something before. I think this would be the opportunity because you're not really seeing a lot of problems on the Android side of things at the moment. Now, the big thing that Android has a problem with, that iOS has kind of stomped and completely like fixed, is the fact that you can go to 4 different people with 4 different Android phones and they're all on different versions of Android, which is terrible. Apple needs to get a hold of that. You know, they have different things in play that will hopefully fix that. But the reality is that's one of the biggest things holding Android back, is that not only do you have to wait for Google to come up with the update, which isn't a bad timeline, like they're doing that fine, but then you have to wait for your manufacturer, and then you have to wait for your carrier, which is the worst experience ever. Because a lot of times by the time you do get an update, you're already out of date. Like there's already 2 or 3 updates from Google and you're back into the process again. So Google needs to, this is what made Apple kind of really smart when they first did this deal with AT&T way back in the day, and they were exclusively with AT&T. Like they They took it from the beginning. They're like, nope, you're not putting bloatware on. We're doing everything. It's our stuff. It's our software. That hard line really has had a really positive effect through the ripples of Apple's, phones. And, for any of you out there going, well, Travis, Jesus, it seems like you're an Apple sheep now. Well, listen, here's the thing. These are facts. Google needs to get on this right away and shut this down. If you look at a graph of the different operating systems that phones on Android are on, it is so splintered and it's terrible. And we're talking about security updates as well. Like, it's just splintered. So at some point, Google has to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Like, hey, it's enough is enough. Let's get this going. And I know they have things that are in play, but it's not here yet. And it's ridiculous. We're almost 2020 now.
Yeah, I don't even understand why the carriers like want this burden or power in pushing these updates. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, yeah, just let Google do, like, why do you even care about like restricting and making it so hard? Like, I know some, like, they want to like load those apps onto like phones and stuff like that, but you could do that and also push out timely software updates. That actually reminds me of like a horror story my friend had. I'm on AT&T, he's on T-Mobile, but I bought a phone from AT&T. I think it was the S7 Edge, and used it for like a year, and then I sold it to him. But I called up the carrier, I got it unlocked, it worked on T-Mobile just fine. It's a GSM phone, whatever. But because it was initially purchased on AT&T, he could not get any software updates because it was on T-Mobile. You had to use like an AT&T SIM to get the updates pushed to you.
Oh, interesting. So that's interesting you say that, because literally I was about to sell my my OnePlus 7 Pro to someone. I hope they're on with T-Mobile. It's unlocked because it's been paid for, but it's on the T-Mobile firmware. Now I think he can, if you want to get into the shenanigans of OnePlus, I think you can sideload the software, but that is terrible.
I'm sure he could sideload too,
but that doesn't make any sense.
Want to sideload this and that. Like, I'm sure there would be a way to get around it, but talk about like an awful like user experience.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you did that with an iPhone, you would just get the software update. It doesn't matter which original phone it was on. Like, I mean, even if you go back to when those Android phones were sold, you would have like an AT&T logo on the phone itself, even though it's just the normal phone.
Yeah. So it doesn't make a lot of sense.
No,
it doesn't make a lot of sense. What else were we going to talk about? I forget. We had another subject we were going to talk about.
Very unelegant segue. I was going to make a
that's fine.
You know what? Travis is here. He's in the moment.
I'm in the moment. I'm hot. I'm hot and heavy. You got me thinking about Android.
I was going to transition from carrier lock-in to just Apple lock-in, because Apple launched a new service this week, Apple TV Plus. Again, Travis, another thing they had to get out this week. So again, more bugs, whatever, but that's in the 13.2 as well. So Apple TV Plus finally launched. I think you agree it was a brilliant move that they launched it not only at $4.99 a month, which isn't that much, but they also said, hey, if you're buying any of our new products, you're buying an iPhone 11, an iPhone 11 Pro, an Apple TV, an iPad, a Mac, whatever, you get a year for free.
Yes.
Like instant signups left and right.
Brilliant. And I talked about this in a video a couple months ago, where I think I called it like Apple just won the war or something like that, just by sheer numbers. So in the streaming war, they don't even have to have great content for the first year, because essentially anyone who buys a multitude of Apple products, whether it be an iPhone, an iPad, even an iPod Touch was in the list. You get a free year of Apple TV Plus. Now, what does that mean? What people seem, and this is the biggest thing, is the number when they're able to give kind of their breakout for their financials for the first quarter of next year. I don't want to say will be artificially inflated, because they're going to be legit. They're going to have a number that they wouldn't normally have without this strategy. And they can float people for a year and say, listen, we're going to give you a year. And here's the other thing. It is brilliant on multiple levels. And you should just go watch the video. Maybe I'll link it in the show notes. But it's brilliant on a lot of levels, including the fact that when you get used to something for a long period of time, it's less likely for you to let it go than it is for someone to just convince you to buy something. So for example, if I give you something for free for a year, especially like a TV service, you happen to watch it every so often, and there's a channel or two that, a video or that you like on there, that's a series, or even someone else in your household, it is much easier for me to keep you paying $5 a month than for me to try to sell you on the fact that we have great videos and it's only going to cost you $5 a month. So you're probably more like when the time comes up, it's like, hey, first of all, do you even remember you signed up for something a year ago? No. More than likely, Apple's going to make a bunch of money a year from now from people who just forgot they signed up. Secondarily, there's probably going to be someone in the house that's watching at least one of these shows that goes, no, just keep it. It's just $5 a month. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Just don't go to Starbucks one day. Like that. Then all of a sudden they've now gone from just this kind of outside, no way they're going to win, to however many millions of iPhones, iPads, and all the other things they sell are the amount of people that could literally be part of their subscription base, which is phenomenal. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think it was like you said, like it's like a brilliant move, because before they announced this move, everyone was like, even I was like, what are they doing in the streaming service? There's no way they're gonna be able to compete, especially with the limited amount of shows they're gonna have at launch. Like they're just gonna get slaughtered. There's no way they can win this war. And then just comes out right out of the gate. Hey, you're buying an iPhone, you're buying an iPad. Boom, you got the service right there. Obviously, everyone's gonna sign up. Another great thing about it, like you said, someone might like it and they might say, just keep it because I really like this show. Apple is also, if you're, you can put up to like 6 people in a family. So as long as one person subscribed to that for $5 a month, usually on other plans, you have to pay a little bit extra if you want to do like family stuff. Someone might find a show that they like. If you have like children, all of a sudden they find a show that they like and you're only paying $5 a month. They're like, no, don't cancel. I really like this show. Yep. You're probably not going to cancel. Mm-hmm. And they have a good year because millions of people are buying iPhones. I ran the numbers before. And if everyone who buys an iPhone this year opens the TV app and plays one episode, they technically beat Netflix in terms of users. Yeah. Just everyone buying an iPhone. That doesn't even count iPads, Macs, or iPod Touches. Just an iPhone. So they're just going to have this large number of users that, even though their content, and oh my God, like talk about like a limited launch lineup. There's like almost nothing to watch on the surface itself. They're still going to, well, the smart thing they're doing is they're having these episodes being released weekly. They have like 3 available now, and then mostly everything is being released like every week, which a lot of people don't like, but I think at least for now they had to do that because you would just binge everything and be like, is that it? I'm never opening that app again. But now if they have people checking back weekly, if I look at the schedule of upcoming releases, you can see that other shows are coming into the mix in those coming weeks. So you'll get exposed to more content that way.
Yeah, really good point. That's a really good point, actually. I'm in the middle of watching the first episode of Good Morning. It's pretty cool. I like Steve Carell. Unsure if I like his character yet, but the story arc is really interesting. And I was a fan of Newsroom, and it's reminiscent of it in a way. So I dig it so far, and it's free. So I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. So yeah, I mean, and they have a year to come up with good content. Another thing I was bringing up was like people say, well, there's still nothing on there. Disney's gonna crush it. Yeah, but again, they have a year. Like there's so much time. And the installed base is so high, and you're already getting it for free. So of course you're going to check it from time to time. It's just, they did it, man. I don't know what to say. Hat off to them.
Yeah, it's a shocker. Let's talk about those shows a little bit more. So, morning show, like you mentioned, that's the one I've been watching. I watched all 3 episodes. I think that's the best show I've seen so far out of them. I'm really liking it. Definitely a huge lineup of like stars: Steve Carell, Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, like top-notch talent. They must have paid a lot to get that show done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gives you that behind the scenes of like the news and all that stuff. I don't know if you're supposed to like Steve Carell's character. I like to think of him as like, like a downtrodden Michael Scott got into the news business.
Yeah, but I like Michael Scott, man. They trying to ruin my dude.
But that show's good. I've been watching For All Mankind, which is like an alternate history if the Soviets got to the moon first. That one's been interesting. It's been picking up a little bit. Those are the only 2 shows I've watched. Critically, these shows like aren't getting the best reviews. Like the morning show and For All Mankind, I think, are getting like the most positive reviews. But even then, like it's not like oh, must see, like 90% Rotten Tomato kind of thing, maybe more like 60-70% ratings, like good show, but not everyone's in love with it. That show C that they were promoting a lot, like apparently that's awful. Again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know, because the critics were kind of down on these other two shows I watched. I'm like, oh, these are pretty good. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that's been happening a lot lately, where critics and the audience, it's like two totally different things. That happened with the Joker movie recently, where like the critics are like, oh, this movie isn't good, but then like the audience score for it's like so high. Like, what are you talking about? This is great.
Yeah. 100%. I find that to be the case with a lot of shows. So I go into everything with a grain of salt. The reason why I even watched Morning Show, I wouldn't have watched it other than someone had mentioned that they had liked Newsroom, and I was a fan of Newsroom, and they said that they liked it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And so far, I like it. So again, they don't have to knock a bunch of these out of the park. They don't all need to be winners. They have time. They just need a couple episodes to keep people interested enough to come back, and as you said, come back and see new stuff as it comes out.
Yeah, and these are like the first 3 episodes. Like if you're watching a show, like sometimes it takes a little while to start picking up, and then you get more invested into it. So while some critics might that was the thing with the morning show, a lot of people said they loved episode 3, but there was nothing else after that, so they couldn't keep watching. So
yeah,
I really wonder if Apple is gonna make an Android app for this TV service.
They did for music, so why wouldn't they?
Yeah. They're expanding it like on all like the television sets you can buy now, and they're on like Roku, and they're on Amazon Fire TV. So
that's a huge thing.
I'm actually surprised they didn't have an Android app ready for launch. I thought they would, because like you said, they had Apple Music on it.
So. Yeah, I wonder what the thought is behind that. Maybe they're just not ready for that. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. I suspect we'll see it next year. I don't think we'll see it before the end of the year.
Yeah, because this is a numbers game for them, and it's not like I don't think anyone's buying an iPhone to get exclusive access to TV shows. Like, I think I'm like a stretch.
You got to meet people where they are, no matter what platform. That's what it comes down to.
Because you can even watch it on like they have like a website where you can watch everything too.
Oh,
so I think we'll see an Android app soon.
I would think so. So leave us a comment. You can leave us a voicemail if you go to Anchor. Our link at Anchor is anchor.fm/ I think it's GadgetCast. Regardless, you can check us out on Twitter and all the things. We got our links in the show notes. I mean, I think we appreciate. Do we appreciate them, Greg, for listening?
Oh, I appreciate you so much. If you're listening, come on. This is the best podcast. You know what? You should be thanking me for giving you this content.
Literally, after we go off, I'm going to completely thank him for this content because it's fantastic.
After every show, Travis just contact me. He's like, Greg, thank you again for doing a podcast with me. This is the best time of my life.
It's exactly what happens. It's really amazing. But yes, anyway, we're going to see you guys again next week. What I'm really excited about is the fact that the podcast is going so well. We're trying to do a little bit more content for you guys. I've actually had a comment from someone that also said, hey, you guys are really ripping them out. That's great. Because some people are ripping through these really quick. So, we'll see what happens. We're going to try 2 a week here for a little bit, and then we'll see what happens. If you guys like it, leave us a comment, hit us up on Twitter. Everything's in the show notes. Anything else, Greg, before we go?
Yeah, no. Nothing else of value for me. Just again, leave us a rating in iTunes if you can. A lot of people are on Apple Podcasts. That's our biggest listener platform. Reviews matter there, so I just want to hammer that and drive that home. But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoying the show. Like Travis said, we're going to try and do 2 a week. I'm thinking every Monday and Thursday, right in the AM.
Yes.
As you're driving to work, load up an episode of GadgetCast, and hopefully enjoy it.
And really, tell your friends, because we are here. He is Greg. I am Travis. We are GadgetCast. Peace and love.